I'm talking about political marketing that we always talk about, talking about people must understand the deep relation, the historic relation, talking about Saudi Arabia and Egypt, especially that every now and then we can find people talking about this relation, and maybe we have ups and downs, and people need to understand that you can never reach a final agreement. Any two people, not two countries actually. But this visit is historic, is very important. This time it has a very special, unique ceremonies also as well. It delivers a very important message.
You know, the most important message of those messages that it is 5 days, not only, you know, there is formal visits between countries, one day or a few hours, for example, a few hours for a set meeting, but this visit is for 5 days, which is formal 5 days full of events or formal events and steps regarding the parliament, regarding investment and politics and each and everything. Yes, of course, it's a very unique visit for the King Salman, because it's the first one after being the King of Saudi Arabia. And at that time, yes, it's very critical and important as to stop the rumors about that Muslim Brotherhood, let's say, in Saudi Arabia, by the way, and in Egypt too, promoting about the disturbance in relation between Egypt and Saudi Arabia by that kind of visit, which is not only a reply to the visit of President Sisi to Saudi Arabia, but for taking more than one action regarding protocols, regarding investment, regarding each and everything during the 5 days. Of course, I think we know as Egyptians and also Saudi Arabia people or citizens know well the historical relation between Egypt and Saudi Arabia since 1926, since the construction of Saudi Arabia in general, and how each other, Egypt and Saudi Arabia, supported each other in all tough situations. Saudi Arabia supported us in all wars since 67, the war of
1973 yes, war, and yes, all this history.
Even at the revolution of the King Abdullah, of course, and how did he supported us. And that's the continuous of the bilateral strong relationship. So, of course, it's very unique and a very important one.
From your field of expertise, what do you think will be on top of the agenda of the discussions?
You know, the Saudi Arabian media and the Egyptian media too is talking about the investment or the projects or the economic projects and protocol. But from my own opinion, I think it's more political than economical one. There's no economic stability without political stability. Egypt and Saudi Arabia in the Arab world are the top two countries. So I think that they will mainly, Saudi Arabia will focus on the topic of Yemen and of course the deal of Iran and Syria and of course Iraq, and I think Egypt is focusing on borders with Libya, because all those Arab countries are controlled by militias, and group of those militias exist also in Saudi Arabia, and that's why the King Salman focus on Sinai and focus on investment in Sinai. The meaning to invest in Sinai is seeking for stability at Sinai. That's why he will issue or sign a protocol to establish a university at Sinai. It's very important message also. Message, yes, I say message, not an project, because it delivers, yes, I will invest there at the borders, at that critical area that all the world is focusing on. So it's very important.
Actually, you mentioned something very, very important, talking about economy, boosting economy, and you will never achieve stability when it comes to investments within all what is happening in the whole region. And definitely now we understood that nothing will be solved in the region with the international intervention. So talking about two major powers, Saudi Arabia and Egypt, how to reach consensus, because we know we have several topics to be discussed, talking about Syria, Turkey, Iran, Yemen, Libya, all these, we have threats when it comes to its national security of the whole region. Do you think really we can reach this? Because definitely now we understood that there is a conspiracy. Some people, they hate to hear this word, but this is very much clear to anyone.
Yes.
We have seen what happened, and we have to learn from the previous experience as well.
Yes, of course. You know, all the Arab world countries nowadays, there's still two fighting countries that stand up with are Egypt and Saudi Arabia. So they have to unite or deliver the message that they are still one, whatever the situations that happen in between or whatever the message others are delivering. Especially, we'll not talk about Arab countries only. We have to focus on European countries. We have to focus that Russia is focusing on that relation to what are you going to do in the Arab world or the Arab region. What kind of cooperation? Of course, Saudi Arabia is going to fund Egypt by $5 million in order to invest, and I think that we can exceed that number too. But I don't like to talk about economic situation because I see it's a very political important visit more than economical one. As you have just said, that there is no economic stability without political one. And to invest in those projects in terms of the fuel or the petroleum, or to fund Egypt in terms of petroleum for guarantee 5 years. It's very important that Saudi Arabia is supporting Egypt in that field for 5 years. This is, I think, too, it's not only an investment or economical project as much as it is a political one, that Saudi Arabia is standing by Egypt for 5 years in that field, and it will fund it in that field too. So it's from the important steps that we have to highlight and focus on.
Saudi Arabia will be giving Egypt almost $120 million for the renovations of Al Qasr Al Aini hospital, so that's another important field. What's your output on that?
Of course, it's not only for the renovation of that hospital or more than one project. You know, we can talk for an episode for each and every protocol that will be signed.
It's around 15 protocols, I think.
Yes, 15 protocols that will be signed, and the visit is a huge number of Saudi Arabia members. And let's also focus, and we have to focus about the role of Saudi media, the role of media of Saudi Arabia, and how they discuss that kind too, regardless people or citizens, Egyptian one and Saudi Arabia one, because we know what they are saying. I don't like to talk about that thing, but I have to say that part of Saudi Arabia people or citizens say that Saudi Arabia is offering that to Egypt as seeking to have the support of the Egyptian army, or we invest here as we trust the Egyptian army for whatever will happen in the Arab region. We will find the Egyptian army there for all the Arab countries. I think the role of the Egyptian army, we don't have to put it in comparison with those investments.
Well, right. Talking about our relation with Saudi Arabia as well, I know that Saudi Arabia has always been interested in education.
Yeah.
And this is something we talked about a lot, especially we have already universities and they have a very good experience in this respect. Do you think also we can take benefit of this and we can start immediately, especially that this is one of the top priority, that one of the main challenges actually when it comes to the education system in general, having a new university, for example, and all of this?
Of course, it's a very unique and important one, and you know, all Saudi Arabia universities is supplied by Egyptian professors, and they mainly constructed a lot of departments and faculties there at the Saudi Arabia universities there at the country itself. So when it comes to invest here and to establish Saudi Arabia university here, especially in Sinai, we have to focus on the place that it chooses, how it chooses that critical place, or how it will deal with it, how to attract students, the staff, the material, each and everything. I think it will be different quality, seeking for not only Egyptian professor but international one, and I think that much more quicker steps in order to be a real, not only a signed project, but an established real one.
Well, the media, in the media, actually, the idea of a strong message being sent to the United States, especially with the upcoming visit of President Obama to Saudi Arabia, and that actually the timing of this visit is to send a message to the United States that the relations between Egypt and Saudi Arabia is stronger than any other country. Do you agree or disagree with such an analysis?
Regardless the role of Obama or America in general, the relation between Egypt and Saudi Arabia, they cannot market or highlight all whatever will be done or expect. Especially those two countries means the stability of the Arab region. So they have to disturb that stability. They have to make it unstable by going or attracting some or attacking something in Egypt, or the same for Saudi Arabia. So whatever they did, we know, or the two citizens or the two countries know well how important is that relation.
I think the United States knows this by heart, definitely, after how King Abdullah, God bless his soul actually, and what he said during the 2011 revolution. All this actually is something that is of great importance, and I think this time it's important because we are going to cultivate the crops. We always talk about the idea that we have many visits, and after the visits, it's back to square one. But this time it is completely different because we have top highly ranked officials, Saudi officials, businessmen. We have seen the delegation coming with the king, of course, and even before, 2 days before. So definitely this time is completely different, even if we have protocols or agreements. But the point is cultivating the crops.
Yes.
Our homework. So do you agree with me in this, or?
I think that time actions will speak louder than words, and we will see implemented real projects, and not only kind of, let's say, here in the Egyptian private talk shows, and you know that I always criticize some, and they represent their own personal view, but they talk that it's the first visit and it's the first unique one. But you can talk about it's an historical one to continue that bilateral relation and that to deliver.
And remove obstacles for investments.
Okay.
Definitely the facilities that we have to offer.
And also we have to talk about a very important thing to announce the idea to visit the parliament, the Egyptian parliament. It's very important and it's unique and it's for the first time. And I would like to talk about that point specifically because the Egyptian parliament was visited by more than one president, like the president of Japan and now the King Salman. So it's a very important message. Whatever the parliament is passing by, or whatever the members are, how they deal or how they act, or
challenges.
The challenges that they are facing, but yet the world is supporting the Egyptian parliament that to be a good one and to pass that critical time we are really facing. So we have also to focus on that point too.
Well, recently or expected that Saudi Arabia will be attending the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, and there are talks that actually it will be trying to mediate between Egypt and Turkey. To what extent do you feel that that might be successful?
You know, here Saudi Arabia, Mecca there, and here Al-Azhar, so we have to have one religious message to be delivered to the, let's say, I'm not going to say the Arab countries, but to the whole world, that the Islamic message is one, is by the two countries, that the two countries are known that they are moderate. It is not like what Muslim Brotherhood or Salaf is promoting for, although that we have to focus that Saudi Arabia is composed of groups of, let's say, tourism or groups of Islamic
factions.
Yes, Islamic. Let's call it like that. Groups in Saudi Arabia, and Saudi Arabia is fighting